Fun fact, a guy has never got me flowers, ever. It wasn't until my graduation, actually, that I got my very first flowers from my best female friend. But yeah, it was at my graduation that she gave me this red sunflower bouquet. But yeah, it was just so sweet, and I was literally cheesing so bad. I've never even been that happy around another guy, or like in a romantic relationship. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Said by Mel, and today we're going to talk about are my friends the love of my life? So, to start, I've literally keep going through it right now. Life's just happening to me. Normal stuff. Life happens. We all need to deal with it one way or another. And I feel like right now, my friendships are the only constant, constant thing in my life. And yeah, I've never known that I could feel this strongly about a group of people. So I've always felt like I've only needed to depend and go through life with only one person, aka a romantic partner, because I always thought that having a romantic partner was supposed to be my end game. That's supposed to be my strongest connection. That is supposed to be my deepest connection. And yeah, singling that experience of having a lifetime bond with someone to just one person. And yeah, to say in other words, romantic love being taught in my life to be the one and truly deepest connection that I'll ever feel. Because we're taught a lot in movies and everything, there's so many romance movies out there. Literally everything's about romance these days, or you can tie back to romance. Obviously, I know there's media out there, but I think in mainstream media, there's just a lot more push for, mainstream romance, finding the one. But they don't really talk about the intimacy of friendships, which is what I'm going to dive in today. Because looking around my life now, I love my friends. I appreciate them so much. And genuinely, and looking around now, they're the ones that have seen me in every single phase they've been in, every single problem, issue that I've ever gone through. And they've always unconditionally accepted me, which I'm so lucky to experience, by the way. And if any of them are listening right now, I'm very grateful for them. Because not a lot of people talk about how, when you go through a breakup, your friends are the ones that you depend on, right? Your friends are the ones that reassure you. They're the ones that tell you it's going to be okay. I mean, obviously you can have that with family as well, but I feel like, particularly if you're friends with people around your own age, they also, have that understanding of what it's like to, navigate a breakup as you're going through this similar phase of life together. Like the other day, I was just really upset about a guy, and then because I think I've talked about this in a previous episode, he wasn't really planning anything, and that really took a serious toll on my confidence. I can't lie. I just felt like, I wasn't worth being hanging out with. I wasn't, I was just like, oh, why doesn't he make plans with me? What's wrong with me? And all those negative thoughts about myself. But yeah, when I was literally shitting, crying, pissing, they were there. My friends were there for me. They're the ones that, I don't know what the universe was doing, but literally the day after, one of them just, texted me to go on a hike. And I didn't tell them that because, I really did need that hike, because that man did take a serious toll on my confidence. Yeah, it's just hard to feel, it's just hard, especially when I was feeling a type of way about a person. But having my friends there to pick me up was just so incredibly healing, and I'm grateful for them. Adding on to that, forming a deeply bonded friendship has been a lot easier for me than creating a deeper bond, a deeper romantic love. I feel like it's so much easier and just so much more relaxing to form a lifelong friendship in comparison to having expectations to have this romantic partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with. But obviously you can have one person that has been there throughout your whole life and you consider a lifelong friendship. I'll get into that later. Yeah, but I just wanted to talk about this in an episode because I feel like no one really talks about how you feel, how intertwined friendships and romantic relationships are, because inherently it is a human connection. I just wanted to appreciate how my girls are always there to pick me up when I'm feeling sad, and they're always the ones to make plans with me when I'm not feeling the greatest, take me out somewhere. Because my biggest issue with my dating life right now, and as well as, in general, is just making plans with people who actually want to be there, you know? It's been really hard for me to be motivated because I'm more of a type A person, and I appreciate planning things with people, and I do like planning things with people. But it's just really hard, especially when I feel like the other people that I'm willing to put in this much effort for just aren't really reciprocating that energy, if that makes sense. Say that I really want to meet up with a person, I give them a date, I give them a time, I give them, a whole itinerary, and then they just don't care. They're just like, they don't really give me the same energy back, or they don't really, well, when they're not giving the same energy back as me, what I'm thinking about is they're not, actively trying to, add any more details or suggest anything, they're not actively trying to come see me, and to put it plainly. And that really sucks. You're trying so hard to see someone, and then you can literally feel like they just don't really care. They don't really feel that same way. And that can translate to yourself as them feeling like, oh, I don't really feel the urgency to see this person, well, I just don't really miss them as much as they miss me. And I get it. People are busy, people have things going on. But I'm just talking about in general, right? We know uni break, trying to make plans with people, and then people just not actively participating, which really sucks. And this is for all my planners out there. This is for all my type A people. I get that struggle of, being the only one to make plans, and literally no one else appreciating that, or no one else, trying to contribute to that. And yeah, with a romantic partner, you have you have that one-on-one connection. And I feel like the main difference between romantic and friendships is the level of intimacy, I guess. I'm just speaking about this in a general sense because I know some people are aromantic, some people are asexual, stuff like that. But I'm speaking from a general sense. The main difference between a romantic and a friendship with me is not necessarily about, depth of conversation or personality. It's more of the level of intimacy and how close you are with each other, if that makes sense. So, obviously with romance, you kiss each other, you do all these physical stuff together, compared to a friendship where I guess you can be physical, but obviously it's not. I'm speaking from like a general sense, right? Friendships are more revolved around, connecting each other based on personality, conversation, a sense of companionship. That, not to say that romance doesn't have all these traits, because they're very similar, but I guess with a friend there's just less expectation, and there's less milestones you need to think about, because with romance you're expected to eventually marry and eventually have kids or something, whatever you decide. But with friendships, it's just pure companionship, because you'd hope that your friendships last you a lifetime, you know as long or even longer than whatever romantic relationship you have in your life right now. Let me know if that makes sense, guys. And circling back to when I was in a relationship, it was very hard for me to balance the two, because I kind of feel, personally for me, I like to keep my partner and my friends separate. I like them to have separate. Not that I don't mind bringing them together, but it's more like I want to, hang out with my partner sometimes alone, as well as hang out with my friends without my partner, because I feel like it's important to have that distinction. To have an independent, to have a sense of independence away from your partner. And another thing I was going to bring up was why people have so much grace for people who make time for their partners versus their friends. It is more socially acceptable to ditch your partner for your friends. Because as I was talking before, friendships and romance do both have levels of intimacy that are also crucial to who you are as a person, right? Your friends and romantic partner, obviously it's different for everyone, but both of these connections impact who you are so crucially. And not to say that one can be more prevalent than the other, but from my own personal perspective, I feel like my female friendships have another layer of intimacy that a man would never understand. They understand if my makeup's not right. They understand if my dress looks off. They understand why I don't feel comfortable going out without makeup, or they understand why, or they understand what it's like to get hurt by a guy. So they know to some extent of what you're feeling when you know, feel like shit after a guy just like put you through the trenches and then you don't want to go out. Female friendships have that level of connection because you just can't get that. It can go both ways. Guys can connect with guys through a level that, girls won't get. And, personally for me, my female friendships have another layer than just being, companions that I see every once in a while. To put it simply. I get that. Anyways, and yeah, back to what I was saying about people, it being more socially acceptable for people to ditch their friends for a partner. I feel like seeking a balance needs to be pushed out more because, I guess with friends, people don't really feel a sense of urgency to, keep putting in effort in order to see someone because, romantic relationships are seen as the more deeper connection. So I guess with friends, that's why, I've seen it with my friends, I've seen it, on the internet, I've seen it everywhere. Girls or guys typically put their friends on the back burner in order to see their partner. And yeah, it kind of sucks to point out how friendships are normally put on the back burner because it seems less deep in order for someone to pursue their romantic relationship. Because yeah, circling back to what I was saying about the importance of female female friendships, sorry. Yeah, that level of intimacy, of understanding the typical struggles that you guys go through together in terms of, I guess, your own femininity, that could be one, or, life in general, depends what type of friendships you have. But in a more basic sense, initially when, I'm making new friends with other girls, we connect based on our own femininity, as well as obviously personality is a big factor. If I see a drunk girl at a party, she'll like, I'll hype her up, she'll hype me up. That's the beauty of a female friendship, female connection. Being comfortable around each other to embrace your own femininity around one another. Because since I grew up with a brother and my mum is a very independent lady, more masculine traits were pushed onto me when I was a kid. So I wasn't really comfortable, Like, I was one of those types of girls that didn't like pink. But now, now I love pink. But when I was growing up, I was just one of those girls that, it's just like, oh, I hate pink. I don't really like that color. It's a girl color. All that. But, now I've gotten so much more comfortable with my femininity and expressing that with my other female friends. And it's a beautiful thing. And obviously, growing up, I experienced I experienced and saw female animosity, in terms of being jealous of other girls and, doing all that. At the end of the day, no one has gotten me like my female friendships have gotten me. Maybe it's because I haven't found the one yet, quote unquote. I haven't felt a deeper connection that I would have than with one of my female friends. She might be listening to this, but my friend, I've been friends with her for like over a decade. We've been friends since, I was 6 and I'm 19 now and she's, 20. I love her so much. She's been there for me through all of my relationships, through all my breakups, every single crush, every single phase of my life. And we're still friends. And that's such a beautiful thing. She is generally one of the most, oh my god, I'm going to tear up saying this, but she's generally one of the people I'm so grateful for to have in my life. And to have her in my life for this long. Oh my god, I'm getting emotional. And yeah, especially with the friends that I've had for a really long time, for like over a decade. That's what my oldest friend group is, or like, I think we've been friends, over a decade. Fun fact, a guy has never gotten me flowers ever, which kind of sucks to think about, like when I think about it, but at the same time, they did express their love in other ways. But in a more traditional sense, when I think about it, it still kind of sucks that, none of them ever got me flowers. But it wasn't until my graduation, actually, that I got my very first flowers from my best female friend. And oh my god, I'm gonna get teary up thinking about this. But yeah, it was at my graduation that she gave me this red sunflower bouquet. And I still remember it. It was like 3 years ago. But I still remember it. It was just big red, because red's my favorite color. It was this big red sunflower bouquet. And I remember I was cheesing so much the entire night because, I just got so excited. Oh my god, I'm gonna get emotional, but yeah, I just got so excited because I've never gotten this before. And it was just so thoughtful and it was so sweet. And I still remember it. But yeah, it was just so sweet. And I was literally cheesing so bad because no guy has ever, I've never even been that happy around another guy or like in a romantic relationship. The fact that I was able to feel so loved and appreciated just from my friend was just so beautiful. Yeah, and that's why forever I'll be advocating that romance is not the deepest connection you'll ever feel. Obviously it depends on people, but romance is not the only deepest connection that you can form. And yeah, circling back, I've never felt more loved and appreciated from a guy or like when I was in a romantic relationship. And the fact that I was able to feel so smiley and happy from, a simple gesture from one of my friends. It's just such a beautiful thing to experience, and I'm so incredibly lucky to have experienced that. Because yeah, even though I don't have romantic love in my life right now, I still feel so fulfilled to experience love in different ways. And yeah, I've also been in the process of reevaluating life and, figuring out what I actually want in a relationship. And at the end of the day, I thought about it. I was just like, oh, do I even want a partner? Yeah, okay, guys. I'm only 19. Like, I still have plenty of time. But I was just like, oh, do I even want to be looking for one right now? Do I still actively want to date? Do I still actively want to seek that person? But I'm only 19. And also, the girls wanted to go on a Brazil trip. So, do I have time or the capacity to let a romantic connection in my life right now? And yeah, when I was reevaluating life, I think I was just talking to my mom about this. I was just like, oh, right now I just want to travel and hang out with my friends. It was as simple as that. But it just felt so right. It just feels so right now. It just feels like the most fulfilling pathway for me right now because, that last guy that I really liked, it was my last straw. Genuinely, it was just really took a toll on my confidence for a while. And yeah, my girls are always there to pick me up every single time, which I'm so grateful. And yeah, this episode, I don't know if this episode might be shorter or longer than usual, but in regards to Are My Friends the Love of My Life, I definitely think so. And yeah, I'm so lucky to have these girls around me. My friends are primarily girls. And, they make me feel loved. They make me feel appreciated. Oh my god, I'm going to cry after this. But they make me feel so loved, so appreciated. And they make me feel more fulfilled than any guy ever would. And that is how I'm going to end before I start bawling. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. This might be a little bit more of a vulnerable episode, but thank you guys for listening. And make sure to subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, and follow me on Instagram. And thank you guys once again so much. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.